What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Absolute Auction Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Miner, and I am joined by Dustin from the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Dustin, what's going on, man?
Not much. I'm excited. It's my first auction mock of the year. So excited to get into it and see how things kind of shake out post draft. See where maybe some of these rookies go and see what kind of value we can find.
Yeah, I mean, and you have gone back and forth over the last year since I started doing this podcast about like doing some type of collaboration. I was like, you know what, this would be the perfect time to get you on, and sure enough, you had the time, and I greatly appreciate it coming on here on a Wednesday night. So we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I don't play in any auction leagues, but I enjoy mocking, and I think it's a fun way of testing kind of your evaluation process. Because if you evaluate a guy high and he can go low, you can find a value. But if you evaluate a guy high and he goes high, maybe there's opportunity for you to look for someone a little cheaper.
Absolutely. And I just want to follow up and say, we're part of the Face Off Sports Network. Follow them at FF Face Off. And be sure to go to fffaceoff.com for all your fantasy football needs. Now, Dustin, you say you don't do much auctions, but how many auctions have you actually ever done in your lifetime?
I've never done an auction league. I've only just done mocks.
All right, you're gonna love this then, because
I love doing a mock. It's always fun.
Okay, so why do you like doing mocks but not actually doing like a real draft?
I would love to do a real draft. I just can't find. I'll say this: I would love to do an in-person auction draft. I've gone to the Kings Classic at the Fantasy Expo the past 2 years, watched their auction. It's a lot of fun in person. There's just a little more nuance in person. I just don't have any in-person drafts. All my drafts are online. It's all friends, back east or, people from work. We don't really get together live. And most of them are still snake drafts. So it's just, what they haven't been able to convince everybody to do an auction yet. I play a lot of Dynasty, so there's just rookies and there's a hesitation to switch, right? Because it's a hard transition to go from rookie picks to also an auction 1 year. And how do we balance out when we've traded future picks? So haven't been able to make the switch, but I enjoy an auction mock because I enjoy the process of, okay, I value this guy at the same level of these guys, and maybe he's going, $5 cheaper. Because in an auction, that's what's nice is $2-3 can really make or break you. If you get down, there's a guy that's you want for $5, and you only have 3, but someone has 6, they're gonna get them from you.
Oh, absolutely. And like that's what's fun about like auctions too. Like it's not like you're not worried about hey I have the 8th pick. I think I might be able to land this guy, or I'm at the 1-2 turn. What should I do? Should I go heavy wide receiver? Here it's like you get to build your team with tonight we're going to be doing a Superflex post mock or post NFL draft mock with rookies. So you actually get to see the actual rookie values, people give you an idea of how much the Ashton Gentry really is going to go for. Is O'Marion Hampton going to blow the wad like he did the last one where the bot spent $59 on him?
Yeah.
But tonight, man, we got to have a fun draft for you guys. Like I'm looking so forward to it. So, like, what we're going to be doing is it's a 32 round draft, but we're not going to sit here for all 32 rounds of it. We'll keep drafting, but we'll definitely have the podcast well before that because you'll kind of get an idea of the $1-2 players by then. But look at Dustin. You signed up for the first pick, never doing an auction. Why did you decide to go with the first nomination?
So I like to nominate because I want people to spend. So I'm a big believer that I want to throw out someone that I maybe think people will spend up on because I want people to spend. I want someone to spend their money because once teams start spending, what I've seen in a lot of auctions is, and people will be, it is a mock, so they're a little more, casual with their spending. But once you spend a good chunk, they're a little more conservative on their auction. I think later on, if you can throw out a low end guy, you can throw out a $10, $15 guy. I want to throw out one of these top 5 guys and go, hey, spend for him and see how that goes. Because I want to see kind of how people play that. If people are just out, or if there's a bunch of people bidding on it, kind of lets me read the room a little bit. So that's why I like being the first or second nomination, so I can kind of get a feel for how the draft's going to go and how the auction's going to go.
Yeah, that sounds great. I like it too. To me, I don't really care where I go. When I kicked off the draft, I'm like, I'm going to take the end just to see what everyone's doing when it comes to bidding. Like who's like how you say, you want to get that money out there. I want to see how you nominate. I want to see how the other 10, after you nominate before I have to nominate. So that's the whole reason why I decided to take the last one. But anywhere I'm at, it doesn't really bother me because the nice thing about auctions is you're always on the clock.
Yeah. That is nice. Like there is no downtime in an auction draft. For a snake draft, like if you have the 10th pick, you can pick, the 10, in the second round turn, and then you can kind of check out for a little bit and kind of come back and go, okay, I've got 5 more picks in my pick. Let me see who's available. You can't do an auction. You have to be on your toes. You kind of have to know who you want to go after. I have a couple guys that I'm targeting at price points and based on, their average, projected salary and kind of go, okay, if I can get this guy, under this or, between this range, that's where I'm kind of targeting. And, if they fall through, then I got someone else. And you never know. Sometimes you go after, hey, these are the 5 quarterbacks I'm kind of targeting. These are the running backs, and they all go real high, and then you got to adjust midway. So that's what's fun. And you can go out and you can build a monster team. You can build a glass cannon. I am definitely more of a conservative team builder, so I will have a lot of balance. Where some guys will just go out and they'll get Chase, Jefferson, Josh Allen, and spend all their money on that, and then have fill it with a bunch of $1 and $2 guys, and that's just a different strategy. And I think that's what makes auctions interesting.
Oh, yeah. And this is going to be fun, too, because, there could be that one person who spends a max bid of $175, and then they're trying to build the rest of the roster with $1 or $2 players. But we'll give everyone a nice view of this. We have a full 12-team mock here. Superflex, 2 running backs, 3 wide receiver, tight end, 2 flex, and then the Superflex position with the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. So without further ado, Dustin, let's kick it off. And you are on the clock. Mute this for a minute. That way we don't have to hear the ticking constantly. And to no surprise, it's Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a Bills fan. I love Josh Allen. I think he's a great player. I just think he's going to go higher than I want to spend on him.
He's actually, still pretty good deal. Especially in the Superflex right now. Oh, but Toko, he's willing to spend up. I'm curious to see. First player off the board is Josh Allen at $39. That's actually a really good deal.
That is. I had him on my list of anything under 40 was a good deal. And there's a couple of guys I want to get a little cheaper, but I think that's a good deal for Josh Allen.
I totally agree. And I'm gonna change my strategies here and there. Like I do, par sheets, so I kind of have an idea of what strategy I want to do based on that first player. Once I hit them, it's like, all right, I spent X amount of dollars at this position. Yep. I'm going to go this way now. Or, hey, I didn't spend as much as I thought I was going to. Do I still have a capability of doing this? So that's what's one nice thing about doing these over snake drafts is you're always on the clock. You always have a budget on your mind, and you have to figure out how to spend that budget correctly without blowing it.
Yep.
Right off the bat. Right.
And so Jaden Daniels goes for $40 more than Josh Allen, right? So people are valuing them equal. I had them both, if I could get them under $40, I thought that was a good value for them. So it'd be interesting to see, where quarterbacks go after this.
I think there'll be a little bit of a drop. I don't think it's going to be significant just because Josh Allen and we did one right before the NFL draft, and these two were basically neck and neck. And I think it was a difference between $1 or $2. But I think it was closer to 45.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing maybe some of that post-draft. People want to spend elsewhere, so they're spending a little less on some of these guys. So
it will be interesting. Yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase just went for 37. That's another good deal. I just wonder if it's going to be the rookies that people are going to fall in love with, and that's what they're saving for, or if it's a different type of position with it being more of a tight end premium. Are they going to look at Brock Bowers more and try to spend up on him?
Yeah, I also wonder if, pre-draft, people were spending more on Josh Allen because they wanted to spend less on guys who maybe had a little bit of a shaky history, right? Chase Brown was kind of a shaky, will he, won't he have a starting job? Even some of the wide receivers, you don't know, does a team go out and draft a guy or trade a guy, right? James Cook, is a top, probably a top 10 running back. Does he get that kind of money? Pre-draft, probably not, but now post-draft, now they didn't bring someone in, doesn't get traded, does he command a little more? And does that, if his value goes up, someone else's value has to come down.
Exactly. And that's what we're waiting to see, whose value is actually going to take it. Is it going to be Like, here we go right now. We got Brock Bowers on right now, and he's already up to $20. Like, so no one's wasting time on getting these elite players out there. Because who nominated him? So we're at the 4th nomination, and
Yep.
Brock Bowers was the first tight end off the board.
Yeah, fifth nomination. Yeah, right off the way. Yeah, we had 3 quarterbacks, then Jamar Chase, and now we got Brock Bowers. Bowers went for 23.
And that's not a bad deal either. Like, I was expecting him to go closer to 30.
Yeah.
And I liked Hoko's start off already. Like, he's looking really good.
Yeah, he's got, Allen for 39 and Bowers for 23. So he's already spent, $60 some of his $200 budget. So we'll see where he kind of saves some money. Is it going to be running back, wide receiver? We'll see. Or does he just go all in for 3 guys and kind of make his way with a bunch of $5 and $1 and $2 guys?
Well, it looked like he's trying to go. Oh, I was like, he looked like he was trying to go in on all. Yeah, he's going in on. Nope, never mind. I take it back. I was saying he's trying to go in on 3 players. He's trying to go in on Jefferson.
Yeah. And what's fun about auctions is, right, you'll see that kind of ebb and flow where, Allen started at 39, Daniels went for 40, Jalen Hurts went for 33. I can imagine, the next couple guys kind of get in that between $33 and $40, and then we'll see kind of it tail off because teams have quarterbacks. They're looking for a second quarterback. They don't want to spend big, so there might be some value later. We just saw a guy he's got Jefferson and Chase for basically $75, $80.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I keep looking at the max dollar spent. I'm like, oh no, he already spent almost 50%, but you're right. So he spent 100. He's got 125 left to spend, and already has 2 players. Ooh, Baker Mayfield. This is one of my favorite quarterbacks. So I don't hate it. I love it because he's just that type of player, and you got him for 23.
Yep, and I had written down he was the guy I was targeting for under $25. I think he can produce similar numbers to Allen, Daniels, Hurts, Lamar, and I think you get him at basically $10 cheaper. So I'm okay with that. And so what I love about an in-person auction is there's that dynamic of being in person, so you can stare down the guy. It's easier to jump the bid. You can kind of play those games. You can read. It's like a game of poker. You can read how are they gonna go in $1 more? Are they not gonna go in? And how much can you bid them up? That ability to read players, I really love. So I love that more than an online. Obviously, we can't see these people. We can't see what they're thinking. Can't read their eyes or their motions. There's no tells. So that's what I love about an in-person auction draft. So watching the Kings Classic at the Fantasy Football Expo has been fun just to watch how those guys, the experts, they know each other and how they kind of play off each other and know who they can rib and kind of see how they can, basically match wits with the other people and kind of, get them to overspend. Even if it's $2, it's $2 more.
Right. And here's this is one quarterback I'm scared about is trying to get Patrick Mahomes. So it's like I like him as a player, but do I keep him? Like, he hasn't been a QB1 in almost 3 years now. And we still give him the credit of, oh, hey, he still has Travis Kelce. He still has capabilities of being this high-end quarterback, but he hasn't done it.
Yeah, and Ray, you're looking at Patrick Mahomes last season, basically missed 1 game, scored 294 points for $23. I got Baker for 23, who scored 381. So almost 100 more points than Patrick Mahomes, and they're the same price. So curious. So Ashton Genty was our first running back at 26. I'm curious to see what that market looks like after this for that. Is he going to be the setter of the market, in terms of, the Bijans and Gibbs and Barkleys go higher, or is he the max, or is he, does he fall in the RB10 range in terms of overall price?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I mean, with a running back like him going top 10, look at all the running backs who have gone top 10 over the last 10 years, how they finished in fantasy. And Todd Gurley, fell from grace, but still, when he was in his prime at the very beginning, he was dominating. Saquon Barkley did very good his first year.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson. And did you know Jahmyr Gibbs would have been actually a top 10 pick too if the Lions ever traded down? So, just a stand. Speaking of Jahmyr Gibbs, let's see. I was gonna say he should be surpassing Ashton Jeanty just because it's the Vegas Raiders, and with Gibbs being on the Lions and know his catching capabilities and the way he truly is. I could see him being easily the RB1 in total here. But yeah, I still just pick a Baker Mayfield. He was a QB4 the whole season, and then just dominated through the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to a guy that has basically 380 points, was QB4 for $10 less than almost $15 less than Allen, and $10 less than Jalen Hurts, who scored 320 points, who scored more than them. Like, you're talking, even Lamar Jackson went for 36. So I think I got a great value. That's where I'm like, okay, I got good value for a guy who's going to produce similarly to those guys. So I'm happy with that.
Oh yeah, I'm loving it.
Because I think if you go to someone and go, I got Lamar Jackson, you go, okay, that's great. I got Baker Mayfield. They go, well, Lamar Jackson's better than Baker Mayfield. Yes, maybe, but at the price, it's like, well, it's like getting Lamar in the second or Baker in the 10th. You're like, well, Baker in the 10th is way better than Lamar in the second. And that's how it is almost in auctions, where it's, do you want Lamar for 36 or Baker for 23? I think most people go Baker for 23 based on what he did last year. And the team basically coming all back and getting Emeka Egbuka. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and plus, you $23, you save yourself almost $20 just in general, trying to over one of the top quarterbacks. And so now you have that additional funds that you can actually spend at another position, or possibly even another quarterback now, where you don't feel like you're handicapped at saying oh, I can't do that because that he went for way too much.
Yeah. So it's interesting that Omarion Hampton went for 30 and Ashton Jeanty went for 26. And I wonder if that's just a byproduct of running backs gone. We had Gibbs and Bijan going between them. Is that kind of the byproduct of that? It seems, I would assume Jeanty would cost more than Omarion Hampton, but that's the way auctions go, is you kind of pay up because there's scarcity, I guess, on some level of the top end running backs are gone. So
yeah, well, and another thing about Omarion Hampton that many people don't know, but so he got drafted to the Chargers, as we know. Who's the coach of the Chargers? Jim Harbaugh.
Harbaugh,
right?
Yeah.
When Harbaugh was at Michigan, he tried getting Hampton to come there, and he chose North Carolina over Michigan. So, what better way to get your running back than drafting him? And then the freaking guy's just huge stand next to Harbaugh. When he shook his hand, there's a photo of him shaking hands, and it's just insane how big of a running back this guy is. Man, this guy has RB1 upside. I like him a lot. I would be willing to spend a little bit more over Jeanty, but the $4 difference isn't much, but I think they're very close. I mean, I would put Jeanty in his own tier, but I'd say if Jeanty goes for 26, I wouldn't care if Hampton went for 25, 24. He's right on his tail.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, man, $23. Baker Mayfield, $23. I would still take your Baker Mayfield over Caleb Williams. Yes, I understand that the Bears are trying to put more weapons around them, but does Caleb Williams take the next step with Ben Johnson, or does he continue to falter? The love for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I can hear your keyboard clicking. And so far, you have just Baker Mayfield. We have the next guy with Bijan Robinson and Omarion Hampton, along with Brian Thomas. And he's already spent over half his budget just on 3 guys alone. So that's where you got to be careful.
Yeah. And I spent up a little bit on Amon-Ra St. Brown. He went for 37. So same prices. Chase, $1 less than Jefferson, $2 more than CeeDee Lamb. I wanted him at 35. But since I saved, $10, $15 on Baker, I felt like I could spend a few extra bucks to get there.
Well, and you can't go wrong with that price either. I mean, if you look at his stats, I mean, he's just a PPR machine.
Yeah.
Getting multiple targets, 6 to 8 receptions a game, basically. You can't go wrong with that at that type of rate. So I like it. I was willing to go for him too, but I want to see what he would actually go for. And he went for a little bit more than what I want to spend right now. And I'm kind of curious to see one of my strategies that will work out to my benefit here. we got next nomination coming up here.
I'm curious why another tight end has not been put up yet for bid, nominated. Brock Bowers obviously is the clear one. I wonder if people are just trying to again get people to spend, out there for all these other positions and kind of save some money on tight ends.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at it right now, like everyone at least has one player except for myself and was it Ophis Nala Lofist? Ophis Nala Lofist. Ophis Nala Lofist. Him and I both don't have players for her.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have anybody yet. So what's your thought process there? You're just kind of waiting for value, or
I'm gonna try. Like, there's still plenty of players out there I like, so I'm willing to see if I can get better at wide receivers. See like those prices come down. Possibly see if the tight end comes down. Because with it being a PPR and tight end premium, I'll be looking more wide receiver here.
Yeah, your mic is super choppy, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Where's it?
So
is that better now?
No, they're still coming through choppy to me, but maybe it's just my end. But, Barkley went for 48. We got Puka on the board right now, who's currently going 37's the high, 38. Looks like we've got guys, bidding on it who, have, I mean, Eakins is an auto, so that might be affecting it, but it's definitely a good price. So Puka ended up going for 37, same as Amon-Ra St. Brown. Brian Thomas was 36, Malik Neighbors was 37. Not too bad. Now Travis Kelce's up, second tight end. We'll see what he goes for. Now Brock Bowers went for 23 a little earlier. So again, tight end premium. We'll see if people are willing to spend up on Travis Kelce or they just think he's kind of washed. I don't know. We'll see if Eat More Kale has Patrick Mahomes. Is Travis Kelce worth a little more to him in the stack? I'm not sure. Right now he's got a decent price on him. So looks like he went for $7 to the guy not with Patrick Mahomes. So I thought that was a good steal there on Travis Kelce. And we got Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, $7 for Travis Kelce I don't think is bad, especially if you're willing. Like if you're going all in right now and say like, you know what, I'm going all in for this year. He's actually not a bad pick because I really think this is going to be his last year of any type of fantasy relevance before he actually really starts falling off. Because he did fall off a little bit last season. He still finishes a tight end 1. So, but I mean, then again, it doesn't take much to finish as a tight end 1. Sam LaPorta. Oh, you muted.
Sorry, I was muted. I was saying that one of my strategy here was with nominate someone that I necessarily don't want, only because I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. If I didn't have St. Brown, I'd love LaPorta, but let me nominate him because I don't necessarily want him. Because I don't want LaPorta and Brown. So let me nominate someone, get some other people to spend, and hopefully, get them to kind of bleed out some of their cash.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I like LaPorta a lot. I'm just curious to see how this offense is actually going to roll. I mean, he's what, basically the 4th or 5th option in the offense.
Yeah, right.
Brown.
Where's LaPorta? Yeah, is he 3rd? Is he 2nd? Is he 4th? Who knows? You're still very choppy too.
Really?
Yeah, and I just switched to my headphones, so it's not me. Or at least it wasn't my headphones.
Let me unplug and plug it back. Any better now?
Keep talking.
Does this sound really good, or do I still need something else?
It's still coming through a little choppy.
Really?
Yeah, I wonder if it's me. It could just be my setup. I don't know. I mean, my internet's saying it's strong, so I don't think it's me. But I'm getting all the other sounds through fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I have the same thing. Internet's all good. Nothing showing like anything's like lagging.
Well, we'll make it work.
So Jordan Love here, like, how do you feel about Jordan Love this season, especially getting Golden now as a true deep threat form? Do you think it's a benefit, or you think that's just?
I think it's a reset, right? So when I'm looking at Jordan Love, can he get to that 30+ touchdown mark? He had 25 last year in 15 games. Year before he had 32. Just too many interceptions for me. So it's just I don't know if he can get there. Like, can he get to 30? Maybe, but he's not going to get to 35. He's not going to get to 35 plus like you would expect a Josh Allen, or a Baker with 41. I think at a low price, he's right now 22. He went for. I can't spend that when I spent 23 on Baker. It's just, that's where I'm like, now I got Baker at 23. I don't need to spend up on a guy for my QB2. Yes, it's a super flex, but I'm looking at, we've got 5 teams without a quarterback, and we've got 3 teams that have their super flex already.
And I still have no one. Here we are, over 20 minutes into the draft, and I'm still at no one.
And so this is where I'm looking at it, like, okay, what quarterbacks? So I start looking at the list, like, what quarterbacks left do I want? Am I comfortable as my QB2? And there's still 3 or 4 guys, so I can wait a little bit and go, okay, let me wait. And then, if we get down to one guy on my list, then I might spend up on him just because I don't want to be left without.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
But something I did last year is I did a thought experiment, and I used your guys' auction values like a month before the season. And what I did is I drafted a team. So your auction values on the website are set for $200 budget. What I did is I took those values, drafted a team with $400, and drafted a team with $100. So basically a cheap versus expensive team. And then I basically just checked it off over the course of the season. At the end of the season, the $100 team was just as good as the $400 team. So you can find value, and that's what I like about auctions is it's a way of evaluating players. So if you can evaluate, value late, you can find value, and you can get a competitive team for half the budget that you should have versus someone who has double the budget.
Right.
It's just all matter, like, can you find that value? So last year I was drafting, Bo Nix and Drake May for $1 as my QB2 in a single quarterback league, just because, they were there, and it's like, okay, they might be decent.
And it never hurts to have that just $1 player saying, like, okay, I'll do it. Let's see how it works, and then if not, you just drop them, go grab another quarterback.
Yeah, so I just took Trey McBride for 31, probably more than I really wanted to spend on him. But again, I saved money on Baker. I expect him to have a few more touchdowns than 2 this year. A target machine in that offense. I don't see Marvin Harrison being, as dominant as people think. They didn't draft him on the receiver, so I'm okay with it for 31. I would love to have got him for under 28, but I'm willing to spend a couple extra bucks again because I saved on Baker. I can then afford to move up and spend a little more. So here's the interesting one. Here's Travis Hunter, who just went for, what did he go for?
Way too much.
$26. So he went for $10 less than Brian Thomas, $3 more than Garrett Wilson, $3 less than Nico Collins. I wonder about it. I mean, you're talking about an RB2. I'll be curious to see what some of these other wide receiver duos go for. So when we start talking about, Chase and T. Higgins or A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, like, what are those 2 pairs? Because I think that's where Brian Thomas and Ashton Denty should fall in that same range. So I'd be curious to see, which wide receiver duos, right? Because if you're telling me A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith go for, so we have Brian Thomas at 36, Travis Hunter for 26. I would assume Devonta Smith would be, in that 36-ish range. And then by this math, A.J. Brown should be in the $30 range because he should be more than Travis Hunter. So we'll see if that actually plays out, or if it's just this rookie hype that's still buzzing from people from the draft that Hunter kind of went a little more than probably should have.
I think it's a rookie hype because I even got Drake London for 32, a little bit more than I wanted to spend, but he was one player I was targeting. But yeah, it seems like the wide receiver is going to be high dollar in this draft.
Yeah, they're definitely. But I think Drake London for 32, considering he was, wide receiver 5 last year, and you had Lamb go for 35, Chase go for 37, Jefferson for 38. So you saved, you saved $5-ish. there. I think that's worth it.
Well, yeah,
So
plus you have
here's
the explosive game, week 18 against Carolina, so that didn't really help me out.
going to be the wheel. We have Tyler Warren nominated right now, currently being bid on. I'm curious to see what he goes for. Because there's a lot of hype around him. We had Bowers go for 23. I spent 31 on McBride. LaPorta went for 24. Kelce went for 7. Warren's the interesting one playing for Indianapolis. Yes, he's a great talent, but does Indianapolis, system really benefit its tight ends? I know they really haven't a great one. He went for $10. I think that's a good value for him.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Like I'd be willing to spend $10 to $12 on him.
Yeah,
I'm bad over between him and Loveland. I think I'd rather have Loveland right now, just because I'm not a huge Anthony Richardson fan.
I agree, and I'm not a believer in that Colts system wanting to use a tight end. They haven't even though they've had not so great tight ends playing there. It's Mo Alley Cox and Jelani Woods when he's healthy and whoever. I get it. Tyler Warren's a better prospect, but I don't see a ton of first read looks for the tight ends there. So, it just seems to me to be one of those things where it's like, it's probably not the system. It's not a Lions system where they're gonna, LaPorta is gonna be the number 2 target in that offense. So.
No, I'd rather have Colston there.
Yeah, I'd rather have Colston Loveland, yeah. Jackson Smith and Jigba on the board right now, going right now at 29 is the high bid. A few seconds left. That's probably about where I think he goes. So right up to 30 now. So right in line with the Drake Londons and the Nico Collins range, around $30. That's a fair price for him.
Everyone's all excited about the these players have the potential to be the wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
So here I nominate T. Higgins right after that, $10. Not scared to do it. I had him in our draft that we did last week, and I think I had him as my wide receiver 3 for like $15 overall. So I want to see like what happens if I throw him out there early now, and so far it's doing kind of what I expected, where he's already over $20.
Yeah, and then there is some in auction drafts you can kind of go, well, right, there's a team that's got, the team that's been bidding on him has Puka and Garrett Wilson. So like, how much do I want them to really kind of, I don't want to say have a super team, but like, do I want them to build up a team that's, we have a team that's got Chase Jefferson, Nico Collins, and Sam LaPorta. They have no one else right now, so they're going to be weak somewhere else. So it's like, how much is keep away from other teams? How much of it is I guess kind of building your team and not worrying about it. I think that's the interesting part on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I nominated Bo Nix.
I like Bo Nix a lot.
I do too. $23. So he's going for the same price as Baker Mayfield. So I feel really good about my Baker Mayfield, price. Again, Bo Nix was QB7 last year. He's got a little bit of rushing upside, but again, 329 points versus 380 some points. So you're telling me I can get 50 more points over the course of a season for the same price? I'll take that.
Exactly.
And again, I think that's where
you're knocking it out right now.
And I think we're getting to the point now where quarterbacks are we're at that like end of a tier. So it's like, hey, you want to pay up? People are gonna pay up because they don't have them, right? We've got 5 teams with their QB2, and we've got 3 teams without their QB1. So I think that was a team's QB1 looking to kind of go, okay, if I don't get him, I'm going to be basically rolling with what should be QB2s as my QB1. And you don't want to have rolling with 2 QB2s. You kind of want to have theoretically 2 QB1s. You're going to spend somewhere else. But right. I think for me, Jordan Love at 21 was a good value. I love Baker at 23. Drake may win for 23. CJ Stroud for 24 is not bad if he can turn it around. There's some decent values. We had Caleb at 23 seems a little high based on what he did. I think it's all on potential and what he should do. So we'll see what the rest of these quarterbacks go at. Lad McConkey right now seems to be going super high.
Oh my God, yeah, he's over $30 right now. So it's like,
yeah, he's at $30 right now. Yeah, $30. I'm like, I'm out. I just can't. I can't spend $30 on him when I didn't spend 23 on Garrett Wilson.
Exactly.
Now here's Tet McMillan. That's the interesting one because rookie for Carolina. He's already out way over what I want to spend on him.
Yeah, he went well over $20 within the first 3 hits.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Like I like the rookies a lot, and I'm gonna let people watch them spend up on the rookies. And I really give me the veterans that I know that have already proven something in the league, and I'll take those guys at a discount.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's the thing, right? Everybody's banking on, there's that rookie receiver. We're only, 4 days from the draft, like post draft. People are, still loving them and moving up on them. So I think it's just one of those things where they're falling in love with them.
Pick.
Yeah,
he went earlier than everyone expected. Like everyone projected him to go to the Cowboys, and he ended up with the Panthers. Ooh, Devin A-Chain. Or A-Chan. Is it A-Chan or A-Chain? I always get that.
It's A-Chan.
A-Chan. A-Chain.
And so here's the
how the whole team looks now.
Yeah, he's at $21 right now. Genty went for 26. He's already up to 24. I don't love it. But again, I'm looking at the running backs like, who do I want as my RB1 and what am I willing to spend on them? Do I spend 32? It just kind of feels like a reach where I think I can find value later on running back. I currently just have Baker and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Trey McBride. So, and I spent $109. So I've definitely spent up on those guys. Trey McBride for 31 was a big spend up. So I'm, want to find some value late. Etienne's almost at 40. That's
you're talking. Man.
Yeah, I mean Bijan went for 42. Gibbs went for 37. So again, I think people are going, okay, the boom potential of Etienne's going to push him up. $40 seems crazy. Spend out for a guy who, so he's got Etienne, Chase, Jefferson, Nico Collins, Sam LaPorta. No quarterbacks. He's got, $32 left, or he's got a $12 max spend. That's kind of nutty.
Yeah, it's very risky when you go that. And like this, this is where we start seeing people get desperate for certain players. And here we have A.J. Brown already over. He's up there with the Chase, the Jeffersons now.
Yep.
Yeah, and there he goes for $36. So it's almost like the wide receiver position right now is setting a standard of mid-30s to get a good.
Yeah, those top guys are. Yeah, the top guys are in the mid-30s, which is if they're all going for them, then you can't really say there's a value. I mean, now you're saying is Hunter and McMillan, are they worth it? Are they worth the $10 less? Maybe. I think it's a lot of question mark. That team has Caleb Williams, Ashton Genty, Hunter, McMillan, and Travis Kelce, Drake May. So a lot of young guys than Travis Kelce. So they're banking a lot of upside potential. For me, that's a big risk because, if Caleb Williams is just so-so and, finishes where he finished last year as QB 16, let's say Hunter finishes as, QB or wide receiver, let's say Devonta Smith finished as wide receiver 27. So he figures as a wide receiver 2. McMillan's a wide receiver 2. You're not really able to do a lot there. You're just kind of middling at best. There's no real. Now, obviously, that that person's banking on these guys finishing as RB1 and QB1s and 2 wide receiver 1s. I just don't know if it gets there.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you on that. It's hard to see. Like my hardest struggle here too is like when it comes to like running back positions. It's like I always struggle because I'm always looking at like their contracts. How much longer is he going to be around for? How much better could he be? And like like Breece Hall was up there. I thought about betting on it, and like Breece Hall is just like I feel like we don't want him there as a Jet. So it's like I don't want him on my team. I'm not going to bet on him at all. Do you feel the same way, or am I just on my own on that?
No, there's definitely guys like I don't want. I know we say like bad offenses can produce good fantasy players. There's just guys like if they don't have a ton of upside, I don't want a guy who let's put this in redraft terms or snake draft terms. I don't want a guy that I draft as the RB10 and finishes at RB10. I'm looking for a guy that can I drafted RB10 that can finish an RB5. So I'd much rather go spend lower. Breece Hall is you're going to spend. Breece Hall went for 27. So right now he has the 1, 2, 3, 4. He's the RB5 in terms of total price right now. He's probably going to finish as RB5. Like, I just don't think he finishes RB1, but there's a chance he finishes RB10. So, like, the risk is too high there on that team that's just kind of who knows what they're going to be with Justin Fields. And it's the Jets. They've never been, like, historically amazing offense. So I'm just not willing to spend on it.
No, same here. Unless value gets too good.
Yeah.
Trevor Etienne could be a value. I mean, just think a couple years ago, we were drafting him as an RB1, and now he's.
This is an interesting one. Someone nominated Trevor Etienne, not Travis Etienne. So I'm wondering if that's a sneaky play to bid people to think that maybe they're bidding on Travis Etienne and not realizing that they're actually bidding on Trevor Etienne.
Oh, yep, and that's who I got because I wasn't paying attention to it.
So that's a sneaky thing you're going to see because, right, that's his younger brother. So it just says, if you're on, say it says T Etienne, you might be like, well, Travis Etienne, he's worth, $10, $15. I think people caught on, when you're on Sleeper, you have the bigger screen, it gives you the full name. But I think if you're, not paying attention, right, you could take a Trevor Etienne and pay Travis Etienne prices. Interesting tactic there. What do I want to do here at quarterback?
They got me good on that one.
Right, and that's something that the person who nominated him definitely was paying attention and going, okay, I'm gonna throw this out there, right, to see what that goes for.
Yeah, because I don't want my RB1 to be Trevor Etienne, especially at $5. It's like, man, that's $4 more than I would actually pay for him at the end.
Yeah, so he got someone to spend $4, and it's like, okay, that could play dividends for him long term. I think it's a little bit of a shiesty Bush League play, but all's fair in auction leagues, I guess.
Just I almost want to remove that pick. That's not fair, but hey, I'm not gonna do that. So then that's what makes it fun because now people can see that hey, stuff like this can actually happen in a draft, even when you are paying attention. Because I was paying attention, but Travis, I'm looking at the T, not finishing the full name. I just see Etienne, and I just put the two together, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is who it is, and I totally screwed myself. It'll be worth it. We'll see what happens here. Because I'm definitely not going to say my next running back will be another rookie and then say that those are my two starters. No.
No.
This is going to be a flex at best. I mean, I hope not because I want Chuba Hubbard to do good in Carolina. I don't want Etienne to really be there, but if it happens, it happens.
I just picked up my QB2, JJ McCarthy, for $16. Same price as Brock Purdy went. I'm happy with that. I think he goes, I think he has a good season. Sam Darnold finished as QB9. I think JJ McCarthy is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. But I think if he can get close to Sam Darnold numbers, I think I'm pretty happy with getting him as, really probably it's got to be the 20th quarterback off the board. In price wise, if I get the 20th best price quarterback who's going to finish in the top 10, I think that's great value.
Yeah, I mean, if JJ McCarthy can be anything close to what Sam Darnold did last season, I mean, hell of a steal right now. And we saw what he was able to do during the preseason before he tore his ACL.
Yeah,
and I saw him a couple months ago in here in Detroit area, and he wasn't limping or anything. He looked like he was moving just fine. And now you got JJ McCarthy recovers. You have Aaron Jones back in there for another couple of years in the backfield. You got two stud wide receivers, and you got Hockenson. It's written to be good for him, and that's what I hope for. And to get him at a price like that, $16 is a hell of a song.
Yeah, and he came out today or yesterday and said he feels better than he did before he got injured. So he's watched a ton of film. He said he's watched almost every defensive player on film. I mean, he just got to learn the game and be around those coaches. And we know Kevin O'Connell is, a really good quarterback coach. So he's got to coach him up all last year without having to deal with the, I don't say the drama with playing, but there is that when you're playing, there's that stress and it kind of distracts you a little bit because you're getting ready to play. Kevin O'Connell just got to coach him up without any of those other in-game distractions. It's just hey, watch film, learn this, learn that, do this. And I think it's really going to help benefit JD McCarthy a ton. So I'm happy with him at 16.
So I just got Kyler Murray as my QB1 for 15, and I actually like that value because of how many people are actually sliding him down based on what he did last season. But let's not forget, he's still recovering from the ACL.
Yeah, I slid him down a ton. I just have never seen. I don't have enough evidence to see him be a top guy. I just don't see where he's ever thrown. Again, I'm looking for someone over 30 touchdowns. He's never done that throwing wise. He's going to run more. So if he runs in 11 touchdowns like he did in 2020 when he was QB3, sure. I just don't know if I see that from him.
So if you did see it from me, you'd be looking to trade him right away then, huh?
Yeah, running backs are so expensive right now, and I don't know what to do. We got Chase Brown.
Trevor Etienne if you want.
Right now we got Chase Brown, who's at 25. The current bid's 26. I mean, Jonathan Taylor just went for 20. I find it hard to believe that Chase Brown is going higher than Jonathan Taylor. But again, I think we're seeing people look at the list and going, man, there's not a ton of people I want, left.
Sending out.
Yeah, so it's starting to, I think that's why Kyler was, there's one team left without their QB1, and there's 5 teams left without your QB2. So you're going to see some value, and I think there's still 3 or 4 startable, weekly, set them and forget them type players in your Superflex. So I think that's going to be interesting that, maybe it is a strategy where, you and Eakins basically paid up on Chase, Jefferson, Nico Collins, Sam LaPorta, Devin Achane. Maybe he can, get, 2 quarterbacks he can get. I'm trying to think who's left. Tua and Dak or Jared Goff for, $10 each and kind of make a team out of it.
Yeah, well, I don't think they go $10 each. I think he can only go really $6 each.
Yeah, I mean, you save $10. Yeah,
he's running out.
Yeah, he goes. Yeah, he goes. Maybe you can get him for 8 and 4, or 8 and 5, or 8 and 6. You might be able to, save a little money there. I mean, his max spend is only 12, so he can't. At some point he's just going to get priced out, right? So he's already priced out basically of Trevor Lawrence at this point, who current bid's 12. That's his max spend. So right now it's 13, so he can't even bid right now. So he's going on past on Trevor Lawrence. He's got to be looking at the list and going, if I'm him, I'm looking at the list and going, how many quarterbacks are left? How many quarterbacks are left before I need to get one? If there's 5 guys left that he's comfortable with being in both his spots, then he goes, okay, I can let 1 or 2 more guys go. Once it's there, he's like, he has to bid 12 and hope he gets them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he has to spend up on it, and he's gonna have to spend more than he wants to.
Yeah, but he can only spend 12, so like anybody can go there and just bid 13 and just take it from him.
Yeah. All it takes is one person saying, all right, I know this guy's going to be $12, so I can just put 13 and he's off the board already.
Yeah,
that's in auctions.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you have to pay attention in auctions because, right, I've got, $93 left. I can go out there and, go, hey, man, if I think this guy's good, I'll just, I'll bid 13 and just stack on my bench as my QB3 and then, see how it goes. I mean, we still got 4 teams left without their 3 other teams that don't have their Superflex. So if there's only 5 guys left, he might be looking at a Jackson Dart. He might be looking at a low end, basically a guy that shouldn't be starting for him because someone else scoops up his guy.
Yeah, he'll be going after like Spencer Rattler.
Yeah,
at this rate. Like this rookie, like Jack Beck, really $10. Let's see. All right, it's up to 11. All right, Dustin, there's something you see here that you like because you keep bidding on him.
Yeah, I like Jack Beck, right? You're talking about a team where the opportunity's there. $12 is not a bad price. I think he's Ladd McConkey light. So Ladd McConkey went for 30. I'll take it for 12. I think he does good routes, right? In that team, there's only Brock Bowers. I get it. People love Jacoby Myers. I like Jacoby Myers, but it's Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, and then who? It's Jack Beck. And I think he's got the juice to be there to be an Edelman type player. I think he can definitely be good. And for $12, I would have loved to got him for 10. I was really hoping it almost went there and someone bid 11. So 2 extra bucks. Again, I paid up for McBride, but I saved a little on Baker. So I'm okay spending $2 extra to get a guy. He'll be realistically probably, I'd love him in my flex. It just happens to be my, my wide receiver too, just the way it worked. So I'm okay with that. I'm worried about my running backs at this point because I ain't got nobody left.
Yeah, these values are just weird. Like a couple of guys in the chat are saying, like, these values are way off compared to what they thought they would be. And
yeah, I mean, when you
say yes, but I can also say no because no 2 auction drafts are ever going to be the same.
Yeah, when you've got that's what's nice about auctions, right? We could get all 12 of us again in an auction right after this, and it'd be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But you had Ken Walker go for 12. You had Chase Brown go for 25. James Cook went for 17. Bucky Irving went for 30. It's kind of wild, to see these prices. We still have Derrick Henry to be nominated, Christian McCaffrey, you know, Joe Mixon. There's still some
Josh
guys out
Jacobs.
there. Yeah, Josh Jacobs is still out there. There's guys out there. I'm like, okay, these would be good values. And I think that's part of it is like, how much do you compare to, your par sheet or your predetermined, this is the average range they go in versus how much do you put it on the values of what the auction is going for itself. Right. So if you have a par sheet and say, hey, I only want to spend $25 or $30 on my RB1, but all the RB1s are going for $10 more than what you expected, then I think your par sheet might be a little off and you have to adjust on the fly. That's just, I think part of it. So I nominated Josh Jacobs. We'll see where he goes. Ken Walker went for 12. Jacobs goes for 12. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal at all. And the new Cleveland running back's out there on the board now. Quinton Duncan goes early. He went his RB3 off the board in the right at the beginning of the second round there.
Yeah, he wouldn't go higher than I wanted to spend on him.
Yeah, probably because everyone thinks he's going to be the RB1 there.
I mean, I think he will be the RB1, but how
fast?
Right, and he's still got to run 4, but just, again, RB1 on that team that just kind of sucks. What does he go for?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question that no one knows.
Yeah.
It's funny, too, because a lot of people don't have much money left now, and we don't have a full draft board yet. I only have 3 players, and I still have a lot of money left to spend. But the players are all starting to dry up.
Yeah, you're definitely, I think, at this point in the draft, hitting that tier where it's like, man, we're at the end of a tier, or it's about the tier is about to drop, and you're going to the next tier. I just got Devontae Smith for 12. I love that. I mean, it makes Jack Beck feel like an overspend at 12, but I thought Devontae Smith would go closer to 20, based on AJ Brown went for 36. So same price as Brian Thomas, and then Travis Hunter went for 26. So I thought Devontae would go for 25, somewhere in that range. So getting in for 12 seems like a huge value to me. And right, Chase went for 37. And what did T. Higgins? T. Higgins went for 21. So I was expecting Devontae Smith to be in that kind of $20 to $25 range, and get him for 12 feels like I saved a ton of money.
Yeah, it's just a boom bust that you have to put up with when it comes to having them on your team now. You're like, all right, can I do it with them? Do I have to do one more thing do I have to bolster that position anymore? Because he can be very boom, but he can also be very bust.
Yep.
Well, let's see how this goes.
I want someone to bid. I got McCaffrey for 19.
I got bidding more there. I was like, I was like, please don't hit it one more time. Then you hit it one more time. I'm like, 18. I was willing to spend on him.
It's I was hoping to get him cheaper. I would love to have got him 15. I was hoping if someone would have bid 20, I wouldn't have been like super upset about it. So I think I'd have been fine if someone hit 20. 19 is not a bad price if McCaffrey can be McCaffrey. I mean, if he can be back to being healthy and being the RB, top 3-5 guy, I got a huge discount where, Bijan Robinson was 42. Yeah, Bijan's 42. Gibbs is 37. Breece Hall's 27. I mean, if he can go somewhere, if he can finish in that range, if he finishes close to 340 points, which is what Bijan had last year, I got him for, half the price, if a little more than half the price. I'm okay with that. It's a big risk. I'm taking a lot of McCaffrey being a guy, being healthy and being able to go. I think he will be.
I hope so. I mean, I think you actually got a steal for him at 19. But I was just like, with the way my team's like, if my team looked more like how yours is already go like at, I would be willing to spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
But then looking at it, I'm like, oh man, I can't do that just because I feel like I need more players to put around my team first before I.
Yeah, and we're at a point now where I only have one. I have one QB, someone or one running back. Someone has none. Someone has one. There's 3 other teams that have one. So we're getting a little bit dried up. So Derrick Henry's on the board right now at $21. $20 he goes for. Again, he went for $1 more than McCaffrey, and you're talking about 2 guys that were 1 and 2. Theoretically most years.
Yeah. You can't really go wrong towards that type of.
Yeah, I mean Saquon Barkley went for $48. So if we're talking about you could say age and injury, Saquon Barkley went for 48. I mean, same age and injury history as those guys. So
yeah, but everyone forgets about that because of how great he did last season.
Yep.
So the short-term memory compared to long-term, they're like, oh yeah, he's not injury prone. It's like, wait a minute, Barkley was just injury prone a couple of years ago. That's why the Giants didn't resign him.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Do you find any value to waiting to bid, or do you like to wait till the last second, or do you just bid right away? What's your thought process when you're bidding on guys? If you're like, hey, I want Zay Flowers who's up right now, and you just wait till the last second, or do you just kind of jump in right away? What's your thought process on how your bidding strategy?
So my bidding strategy would be for him is I do if I want him, I'm bidding on him. So like even if like I hit bid and when you hit the offer. Sometimes some of the already says, they already have a max offer already over yours, and you're like, oh. Then I start like kind of like resetting, seeing where it's at, and I was like, okay, you know what? He's out of my price range. I don't want to spend that kind of money on him. I'll wait for someone else to be nominated.
Yeah, and so Zay Flowers went for 18, which makes me feel really good about Devonta Smith at 12. Still feels like Jack Beck wasn't at this price. Feels like an overpay at 12, but I just think Devonta Smith was such a value.
Yeah, no, Devonta Smith actually looks really good. I mean, he has wide receiver 1 capability weeks for you. Right behind A.J. Brown. So that to me is not a bad deal at all.
And so here we are with Eakins, who max bid was 12. Jared Goff's on the board. He's at 13. He can't bid on him. So again, he's got no quarterbacks, and you just got him for $12 or $13, which I think is great.
Yeah, and I love Jared Goff. Like, I'm not gonna say it just as a homer pick because it is a homer pick, but the way he performed last season was definitely as a solid QB2. So having him here as a flex as a QB2 is, I think, good value. 13. Between both my quarterbacks, I have him for $27, $28. So two of my quarterbacks combined are cheaper than Josh Allen, and I still have space to go.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I spent 23 and 16, so I spent 39 on my 2 quarterbacks, and that's what Josh Allen would have cost someone. So
yeah, so it's like the amount of value you can save in an auction and see it, but you can also get kind of mad at it too. Like you'll get some that will have the buyer's remorse and be like, I can't believe I spent them on Josh Allen when I could have spent that one time Baker Mayfield. But at the same time, I said because I had the same thing last season. Like we were doing we did a listener league at the end of the summer. And the first player that came up was Josh Allen, and all summer long I was saying, I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he can be QB1. And I ended up winning him. I was like, man, I didn't want to win him. I wanted someone else to win him. But at the end of the day, it benefited my team because he exceeded my expectations of what I thought he was actually going to do.
Yeah, so that's a weird one. So we just had Caleb Johnson go for $14, rookie for Pittsburgh. I mean, Quinton Judkins went for 17. Josh Jacobs went for 12. It's an interesting price for him. I think it's a little very high. For a guy who's at best is going to split time with Jaylen Warren. So I wonder if this is just people kind of going, "Hey, I need a guy. I just need to fill out my running back room." I don't know.
Or they see the Iowa running back upside, and they think like, "Oh yeah, he's going to be the in between the tackle goal line running back compared to Warren."
And he could be. I just don't know. If he takes the Najee Harris role, like he's still just an RB2. So I'm going to do something here that I just want to see people's feelings on Dalton Kincaid. We've only had 5 tight ends go off the board. It's a tight end premium league. I've started him at $2, and he's got a couple bids up to 4 now. Travis Kelce went for 7, which I think was a huge steal. So he's seems to be stuck at $5. Oh, there he goes. We'll see what happens here. I don't know if people are willing to take that ride again. But But again, for me, nominating him, who I don't like, even though I'm a Bills fan, let someone else take him. He's going to fill someone's tight end spot. I'm okay with that. Like, Ofens Lofus, got it, for $5. Might be a great buy if Kincaid can be good. I don't think Kincaid's that good. So for me, it fills his tight end spot. He might not be looking to buy a second tight end right off the bat. He might be, going, hey, my second tight end can only be $1 or $2. So maybe it affords me a little bit of value. I already have McBride. Maybe I can get a guy somewhere else, a tight end too, maybe pretty cheap that would probably go a little higher.
Yeah, he might be able to get his tight end too would be like $1 or $2, so he has less than $10 wrapped up in his tight ends, and
yeah,
not too bad.
Right, and I have seen that strategy from people who will, if you get a Christian McCaffrey, your next nomination, you nominate his handcuff for $1 and just hope no one bids on him, and you just get him for $1, and you just kind of wrap that up right away so someone's not trying to just, I guess, snake you later on. So I've seen, Dave Ricard do that at Kings Classic, where he'll get, I think he got the one year, I think he took Zeke, and paid a hefty price when Zeke was still on the Cowboys, and then took Rico Dowdle. Like I said, he's like, Rico Dowdle $1, and everybody's like, I don't care. It's like the fifth round or fifth go around of nominations. But he's like, and it just got him for $1 early because he knew later on someone would be like, well, let me take your handcuff just to kind of stick it to you, because that's kind of that gentle ribbing you do in auctions. And then you just want to get his handcuff out of the way.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, because if you're smart enough and you throw it out there, like you said, like how many people are going to pay attention to it and be like, well,
yep,
I'll throw $1 at it, but I'm not going to throw any more than like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I just want to brag that I got Jalen Waddle for $11.
It's not a bad price at all.
I actually like him a lot. I think he's actually going to surpass Tyreek Hill this year. So to get him as a wide receiver too, I love that value right now.
Yeah. I mean, right, you're looking at, you have Drake London at 32. I have Amaron at 37. My realistically, Donta Smith's my wide receiver 2 at 12. Yours is at Jalen Waddle 11. I think you did pretty good there.
I'm not finally paying attention. Still wishing I didn't have Trevor.
You hit those $4 back?
Yeah, if you give me my $5 back, I'm gonna mail it in.
So TJ Hawkinson just went for 11, which I thought was very interesting. Tyler Warren went for 10. I still think Kelce's a screaming value at $7. That seems like an absolute steal right there for a guy who has potential to be, the tight end 1, was still tight end 5 last year. Probably, if you're believing that, Mahomes has a bounce back year, you got to be going, well, okay, that means, Travis Kelce should have a bounce back year. Even if Travis Kelce is tight end 5 again, you're basically got him as the 7th lowest, the lowest tight end right now. There's 7 off the board. So
yeah, and people that look at it like that too, when they look at their values, like understand that, it's not just like, hey, I can't believe where I got this tight end at. It's how much did you spend on him compared to everyone else?
So here we're in this game with Eatkins. Needs a quarterback, doesn't everybody? Dak Prescott's on the board. He's basically bid, I think, $5 on him. He was in at 6. I bid it to 7. A couple of people have jumped in. So, he can only bid 12. Who is he looking at? So he doesn't get Dak Prescott.
Yeah. Well, if he bids 12 max, then he's down to $1 player.
Yeah. Right. And so what we saw is Ofens Lofus took him as his QB3 for $9. And Eakins is basically still looking for a guy at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the list of quarterbacks, and I'm looking at quarterbacks going, oh.
What quarterbacks?
Yeah. I mean, there's still, 2 other teams that need their Superflex guy. So when teams start taking their third quarterback and you don't have any, then you kind of got to get a little worried, because, you're basically going to be looking at dollar guys. You might take a Anthony Richardson and hope he starts, because there's not many other players that are available. There's only 32 starters in a 12-team Superflex. It's 24 of them gone. There's only, 8 guys left. I mean, there's not a whole lot of you got to. And so now you're talking, there's 25 guys gone before you. There's only 7 guys left. Are you comfortable with all 7? I doubt you are.
Yeah, it's like, and here's your chance to get Tua right now.
Yeah, and he's not going to bet on him.
I don't get that. Like,
And so I'm banking on Stebbs, bidding him up. He's at $6. And he goes and he doesn't get him. So now he's going, hey, there's only one other team without their super flex guy. I should be able to get whatever quarterback I want. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if that's going to work out for him.
Well, no, because if you look at there's two other guys that don't have their super flex yet. Well,
one's him, yeah. One's him.
TW27 won't get it. Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. But what's to say that we're not going to go get our quarterback 3 and say, all right, now I got my top quarterback. I feel very comfortable with my quarterback's room in general instead of having 2. Now I got 3 good ones.
Well, exactly, right? And so Eakins doesn't have his second running back. So for me, I'm looking at what running back do I nominate? Because if he spends any money on a running back over $1 or $2, his max bid goes down. So that just makes the next quarterbacks that much more valuable. So it just becomes this game of, can he bid on? He has to pretty much exclusively bid on quarterbacks until he gets one. Yeah. And again, if he spends $12, his second one's $1 quarterback. I'm not sure that works out well for him. So he's got to be hoping he can steal one for $6-7. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either. I think
he's playing a very dangerous game. Elijah Moore's trash. Pass. I generally don't hit the pass button, but for someone like Elijah Moore, I would definitely hit the pass button. I don't understand what the Bills. Can I vent about my Bills? What are we doing signing Elijah Moore? Like, we do this every year. We sign these like shoulda, coulda, wouldas. These guys who are like, oh, they have so much, but every year it's the same thing. Well, they have so much potential and they've got speed. They never work out. Curtis Samuel didn't work out. Isaiah McKenzie didn't work out. Like, can we just stop with these retreads of guys on their third or fourth teams and just hoping that someday they're going to live up this potential? It doesn't happen. So that's my friend about the Bills.
You like Khalil Shakir, though?
I love Khalil Shakir, but right, we drafted him. He's blossomed on the team. If Shakir didn't make it, and then all of a sudden we're like, 3 years down the road, and he goes to 4 different teams, it'd be like, oh, he's got potential. Well, no, he hasn't shown it. Either you show it or you don't. That's my thing. And Elijah Moore hasn't shown it. Curtis Samuel hasn't shown it. I think he showed it 1 year, and it was a fluke, and that's it. So here's my thing. So Eakins is playing that quarterback game. I'm curious what Taco is doing, because he has 0 running backs currently.
He does. You're right. He still needs a wide receiver 3, but he has his quarterback set.
Yeah, so he's playing the same game that Eakins is doing with quarterback, but just with running backs. Man, I want a Garando for $1, and I'm not going to get him.
I would say I saw what you did there, and you did exactly what you said. You throw it out there for $1, see if you get that backup running back to your starter, and see what happens. I like that because he was the one that actually paid attention on outside. The rest of us are like,
I don't want him. Yeah. So again, there goes Bryce Young for 15 to a guy for his QB3. Eakins still has nobody.
Yeah, and there's nothing there. Quarterback's getting very, very thin, very ugly.
Yep, I filled out my RB2 with Joe Mixon for 13. I was happy about that. I think I paid 19 for McCaffrey, 13 for Mixon. I think that's good. Walker went for 12. Jacobs went for 12. Chase Brown went for 25. Judkins went for 17. Cooks went for 17. I'm happy with Mixon for, $13. It's not, it's not long-term play, but it's enough. So here's Colston Loveland. This is going to be an interesting one. We've got a couple tight ends off the board. Tyler Warren went for 10. We'll see what Colston Loveland goes for. See where we're at in that QB. Are the prices still kind of or tight ends, are the prices still going up? People are, scrambling to get one, or is it past that breaking point where everyone is like, I have one and I'm good, or I don't need one, I'll wait. He's currently at $5. And he goes for 5 to someone who's same person as Warren, which is interesting.
So someone likes their rookie tight ends. They just want to make sure they lock up the
right. And it is right tight end premium, so you do get extra, but I just don't know if I'm willing to bank both my guys being these unknowns.
Well, especially at the rookie position. I mean, yeah, we've been spoiled these last few years, but eventually, sometimes one of these rookies are going to have to take a step back.
Yeah,
because the whole tight end room that does not come out year one and just dominate like they have been. I mean, look at Trey McBride. Look how long it took for him to actually, become a tight end.
No, I completely agree. See, now this is where I'm getting buyer's remorse. I wish I would have saved my money on Trey McBride and just been able to bid more on George Kittle.
Yeah, because so you and I are going back and forth on George Kittle here.
A little bit.
Steve Tony just jumped in too now. I mean, he just signed a brand new contract. He's extended for another 4 more years. I'm curious to see, like, does he stay as the tight end 1?
Yeah. I'm going to let him go there at $15. I think that's a great value for him. I think that's a streaming good value for someone who's, was a top 5 tight ends, for the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I already had McBride. I don't necessarily want to spend 15 on my flex, even in a
you don't want to have $46 wrapped up in your tight ends alone.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't want to. I mean, I think I can get some value later, but I think it was a good price. I figured I could bridge up a little bit. So here we are with Isaiah Pacheco, who goes to Tacos for his first running back at $9.
Ugh, I don't know if I like it or not. I'm still debating on Pacheco because he started out hot last season and then he came back and he just did not look the same. And
no, he didn't. I think that's part of it. Like, he just didn't look the same, and that team is, they got Kareem Hunt to do the passing work. So even in his best year, which was 2 years ago, he was running back 15. He had 7 touchdowns. I just don't love it. I don't think he's a guy who can handle load. He's really touchdown dependent. I'm just not sure I see it there.
Yeah, let's do it.
I figured. I was hoping you would.
I'm gonna double up on my tight ends here.
I'm gonna
win them both.
You have the most money, so kind of gotta get you to spend where I can.
Yeah, so interesting. $85 up to spend still.
So here we have Brandon Ayuk. This is an interesting one because he might not be ready to start the season. What's he go for? Teams that don't have, there's a couple teams that only have 1 wide receiver so far. Some have 4 or 5. He's going for $14 currently. That puts him in the. If he was going to play all season, and I knew that, I think 14 is fine. I mean, Devonta Smith went for 12, DJ Moore 15, Waddle for 11, Tyreek Hill for 8. At that price, it's a little too pricey at 15.
Ooh, touchdown. This is the wide receiver I do not like anymore.
I don't like any receiver on the Colts, to be honest with you. Like, Anthony Richardson scares me as a quarterback. Don't even know if he's going to get the starting job. If it's Daniel Jones, it scares me even more. I'm out.
Well, yeah, because like Daniel Jones would be looking for his new Wan'Dale Robinson, but won't that be more of like, shit, who would that be?
Alex, I mean, I would assume it's Josh Downs, but like Alex Pierce, Adonai Mitchell, Michael Pittman's still there. It's too gross of a situation all the way around for me to really want to be part of it.
It's very murky. I just can't see it for $10.
$10. Not a bad. I mean, that seems high. I mean, Devonta Smith was 12. So here's the deal. So Eakins is on the board waiting for Anthony Richardson. He's at 6. You got him for $5. I'm okay letting him have him for $5.
I got him last week for what did I get for 2? I think I spent $2. Someone put him on a down. I'm like, I'll throw him $2. See what happens.
Anthony Richardson for 5 as your QB1 seems gross, right? And I get it. You have Jefferson, Chase, Nico Collins, Sam LaPorta, Devin Etienne. So you're banking on that high upside, but you're kind of just out at this point. Like, if Anthony Richardson, I'd say it's 50-50 right now that Richardson's the starting quarterback of week 1. I don't know if I want that as my QB3. He might he might be worthless.
Yeah, like that value that he used to have a couple years ago was like it didn't show we saw like hints of it last season, but then like he just turned it over, and then like I think what really killed it. What killed it for me was when he benched himself. He's like, I'm tired. I don't want to go back in. It's like,
yeah, right.
Like you don't do that.
And even they talked about like the rushing upside. There wasn't games where he had like massive. He had a 56-yard game. He had 2 56-yard games. He had a 61-yard game, a 7 yards. It's not like he's running like 100 some yards. It just seems very Yeah. So Alvin Kamara went for 12. Terry McLaurin's up for bid right now. I don't love Terry McLaurin for $10.
Nah, I got eyes on other receivers that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, I've got everything. I'm just filling in my flex now at this point. So I've got Baker Mayfield for 23, McCaffrey for 19, Mixon for 13, Amara St. Brown for 37, Beck for 12, Devontae Smith for 12, Trey McBride for 31, and then J.J. McCarthy for 16. So McBride was probably the big overpay based on all these other prices, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
If McBride is the tight end 1, I'm still overpaying because the next closest guy is LaPorta at 24, Brock Bowers at 23. So it's probably still a $5 overpay, but I'm okay with it.
I would definitely name my team. My team name would be Trevor, not Travis Etienne. Because I'm with Kyler Murray.
Man, Jackson Dart.
Jalen Waddle.
Jackson Dart goes for $3 for someone's QB3. I mean, that's just an upside play right there.
Are you a huge fan of him?
I think he's the most pro-ready out of this rookie class. But it's also not a great rookie class. That's right. No. So it's like, hey, you're the best of the not so greats. I mean, I think Cam Ward's still good. I think Jackson Dart is more pro-ready. But again, I think him and Cam Ward are both good. But does Jackson Dart start? When does he start? I mean, they still have Russell Wilson. I don't know when Jackson Dart is the starting quarterback for the Giants. I don't know if it's week 1. I don't know if it's week 6. I don't know if it's next year. That worries me. That's my biggest worry, is that who knows when that's going to be.
I'm actually starting to like my team as it's come together. So I got Kyler Murray. I still have no running back. I'm not going to say that Trevor is my running back. Drake London, Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore is my 3 wide receivers, George Kittle, Mark Andrews, and then I just got Jerry Jeudy. And then to finish up my Superflex, I got QB at Jared Goff. I actually like how this team's coming together now.
All right. I love getting Justin Fields for $7. He's my QB3. I think $7, guy who has potential to be a low-end QB1 with his rushing upside. Now, when we talk rushing upside, this is the guy that really has, he can break off, he's got multiple 50-plus yard games. He could break off, and he could be, we saw it in 2022. He was QB7 with 8 rushing touchdowns. He had 5 rushing touchdowns last year in only a handful of games. So I'll roll with him as my... Yeah, I'll roll with him. If J.J. McCarthy is not good, I can roll Justin Fields in, and I'm happy with that.
Ooh, Mike Evans, here we go.
Oh, he's going way higher than I want him to.
Well, that's what happens. They get you to spend the most money, and I want him. But that's okay. I have too much money to spend, but this could be his last year in Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
and he gives me a flex player. If Kittle and Andrews are on a bye, and I got one of those at my tight end spot, I would just put Mike Evans up in my flex. So yeah, I like the 5 wide receivers I have here.
Yeah, I mean, you got Drake London at 32, good value. Waddle 11's good value. DJ Moore at 15 is probably right value. Jerry Jeudy for 9 and Mike Evans for 11. I mean, I think you're batting pretty good that you have guys that can be weekly starters for right around $12 each. So I'm looking at quarterbacks for Eakins, who only has Anthony Richardson, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson. I mean, Jalen Milroe, Tyler Suck, Kirk Cousins. There's not, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I don't know what he's doing, even at $1. I'm not sure he gets, there's 2 starters left. Devontae Adams for 7 seems super low. I wonder what he's going to be in. So here's Shedeur Sanders going for $1.
We remember too that Adams is going to year 32 season, so
yeah, he's
32 season.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
he's that borderline.
Yeah, and right. How much of last year was Aaron Rodgers? What can he be with Matthew Stafford behind? As the 2 to Puka. So Shedeur Sanders went for $2. Interesting. Because I'm not sure.
The upside in the 5th round pick.
I'm not sure. He could just not make the team. I mean, that's the thing. Shedeur Sanders can be the week 1 starter or not make the team. He's got that whole range of outcomes that it's kind of wild that it's like that.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I personally don't think he makes the team.
Oh,
I think he's
$9.
I think he's the practice squad guy.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope so. You don't think isn't the UFL or not UFL? Canadian Football League getting ready to call him, being like, "Hey, we got a starting position here if you want it."
I mean, I don't think he'll take it. I don't think his ego will let him. But right, if you're the Browns, Watson goes on IR. You're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks, so you just signed Flacco. You traded a 4th for Kenny Pickett. You drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd and Shedeur in the 5th. Who's going to be the practice squad? Who's going to be like? So I think Flacco's the starter. I think Kenny Pickett's the backup. I think Dylan Gabriel's the emergency 3rd guy, and Shedeur Sanders on the practice squad. The only risk they run there is that if someone needs a quarterback, they can pick them off their practice squad. I don't know. They can protect them for I don't know how many games or what the rules are, but that's going to be the interesting. Do they make him the 3rd quarterback just because they want to protect him, or they just go, "Hey, he's just not good enough, and he was a 5th round guy. We're just going to let him go."
Yeah, I don't know because I think I don't know if you heard today, but I guess the Browns made a dumb move and didn't realize that they had the option to pick up Kenny Pickett's 5th year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's like they didn't know that they had to pick it up to what 5th year? Remember, he wasn't the 1st round pick.
They're just such a poorly run franchise that they're just going to be poorly run. So Luther Burden goes for $2. You picked up Brian Robinson as your RB1 for $7. Not a bad price.
No, not a bad price. I'll go ahead and burn my $5 that I just had.
I'm surprised that Washington did not draft a running back, to be honest with you.
I really thought they were going to.
I thought they were too, and they draft a guy like super late. So,
hey, to me, I'm like, oh, that's weird. I'm like, shouldn't they be getting running back right now? Because that'd be solid for him. But yeah, I love Brian Robinson. I mean, we also have Jaden Daniels, so why not?
Yeah, so right now we've got 2 teams without their RB. Well, 3 teams, including you, if you don't count Trevor Etienne. 3 teams without their RB2. We've got 1 team that only has 1 wide receiver, so they need 2 more. We've got 4 teams without a tight end. 2 teams without their Superflex quarterback. So, and we've seen a bunch of guys. We've seen Luther Burden go for 2. We've seen Rashard Smith, the rookie running back for Kansas City, go for 2. David Njoku win for 3. Chris Godwin I just got for 4, which I love that value.
That's a good deal. Very good deal.
Yeah, it's my flex. So I've spent, what's this, 37, 49, 61, $65 for 4 receivers. I'm super happy with that.
Yeah, you're having a kick-ass draft. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I wish I wouldn't have spent so much on Trey McBride. If I could have gotten Trey McBride for under 28, around the $25 range, closer to Brock Bowers, closer to, LaPorta, I'd been super happy. But I'm still doing good. I've got $26 left. My max spends 11. I've got, Justin Fields is my QB3. I've got 1 flex spot, and then, I'll pick up a bunch of, dollar guys. That's where I think that's what I really love about this process is who you get late really matters, right? And who you can pick up for $1 and who you can pick up for, $2, how you can build out your team that can kind of rotate in for you, and then weekly management of your team, or if you're playing best ball, having those guys that, you can get for $1 that can produce, a $5-6 value.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. We're looking at, Keon Coleman right now is going for $5. Does he produce, $10 value? I don't know. He might produce. I really like Keon Coleman. I think he can get there, but we'll see what, maybe Khalil Shakir goes in a little bit. We'll see what happens there and see what Khalil Shakir goes for. So,
ooh, here comes Simon Tracy's replacement, Cam Scattaboo.
Yeah, I mean, right, he's going currently for $5. So now he's up to $7. That's a big jump.
Yeah, that's what I like doing something like this, like right after the NFL draft. Just keep that hype in there. See what people think, with these rookies, how much they're actually, what they think they should be going forward.
Yeah, so Scattaboo goes for $8. trying to look at like Brian Robinson. You got Brian Robinson for 7. I'd much rather Brian Robinson, who's the starter, the week 1 starter, versus Katabu, who might be the week 1 starter. Like Tracy's going to split time with Tracy no matter what. So you got a full-time player who does split with Austin Eckler, but the heavier side of a split backfield versus a lower end side of the backfield for the same price.
Yeah.
So Khalil Shakir just went for 3. So Keon Coleman went for what? For 5. Shakir goes for 3. I think those prices should be swapped.
I agree. It's amazing what people pay just to get a certain player.
Yeah, right. I think part of it's just panic, right? Okay, right. Because if you go, I think Keon Coleman should be 3. You bid 3. Someone then bids 4. You have to bid 5. It's not like you're like, well, it's $2. That's $2. But that's where I'm looking at these values and going, man, Jack Beck for 12 seems high compared to Devontae Smith for 12. But I just think Devontae Smith was such a value when we're looking at Jack Beck for 12 versus the other, a Shakir for 3. Yeah, maybe it's still a little bit of an overpay. Trey Harris goes for 5. What did Mekabuka go for? I mean, Burden went for 2, which is pretty low.
Mekabuka went for 8.
Yeah, so Jack Beck's like a little high there, but I'm higher on him than most people. So it's probably a little bit of an overspend, but it was early, so I was like, I wanted to get him because I like him as a player, so I was willing to, again, you don't know until you know. At the time, it seemed like a good value. Then everything else, just the values for receivers at the time were high, and then all of a sudden they just kind of bottomed out. So
it's funny too. Like I just got DeAndre Swift for $6, and then Edward Tracy was won by Eakins 13 for $6 also.
Yeah,
that's not. I'd rather take the chance on Swift than Tracy because I feel like Tracy with Scaboo now has more to lose compared to Swift, where they didn't actually draft anyone of like significance that I thought they were going to draft.
Yep. All right, so I just got James Conner for 7, so same value and guy who's going to be a starter and on a good offense. Here's Sam Darnold, currently a $2 bid for Eakins, will be a Superflex guy. I don't love his team of Richardson and Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold is not good. I don't think he's going to be good in Seattle, and I think he's going to get replaced by Jalen Milroe really quick.
It took 7 years for him to actually become like fantasy relevant. So,
well, that's the thing, right? So I am a big believer in once is a fluke, twice is a trend, and 3 times is a pattern. We have a pattern of Sam Darnold not being good.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
Last year could be the fluke, and if you look at his like 8-year career, it's like bad, good. Okay, well, why does all of a sudden he become good? Right? Same thing with Geno Smith. That was bad, good. Then it's like okay, right? It's the system that made him good, not necessarily the player. Tucker Kraft.
Ugh. More tight ends projected for $1. He's at 3. So you got some depth. Let's see your building on here.
All right, I got Tucker Kraft for 3. I'm okay with that. I mean, I ended up spending $34 on McBride and Tucker Kraft in a tight end premium. I think balanced out the two of them, it's not bad. Like average price for tight ends, not bad. I just think that McBride was a big spend up. I think my 2 big spend ups were McBride and probably Jack Beck at this point.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you always have that buyer's remorse, and like I say, like you'll get that buyer's remorse, but then you'll look at back in the end and be like, you know what, I really didn't spend that much as I thought I did.
No, right, and getting Godwin for 4 is my wide receiver 4, right? So really, he's my wide receiver 3, and Beck becomes my 4. So that's what I try to average out. Like if I'm looking at my tight ends and McBride and Kraft, who could be tight ends, 2 top 5 tight ends for $35. Well, it's 15, $16 a piece. That's not bad.
No, not at all. So I just won Tony Pollard for $9. So I'm here I am again. Second draft in a row where I have running backs under $10 each now.
Yeah, and so now I'm in a tight spot because my max spend's only $3, but my starting lineup is full, so I'm just building my bench. So there's guys I want, like I would love to get Courtland Sutton. I can't get him. My max spend's 3. He's at $9 right now. So now I'm going to be looking at. So now my nominating strategy, which I think I'm nominating soon, becomes who do I don't want that I can get someone else to spend on, right? Like who can I throw out there that might, take up someone's money?
Like a Trey Benson.
Well, I want Trey Benson because, Trey Benson wouldn't be bad because, I have James. Did I got James Conner? Oh, I got James Conner.
Yeah. So he's already at $3.
Yeah.
Egan is his team getting up there now. Jake Ferguson. That was one time I actually thought was actually going to get replaced this draft, and Dallas didn't go after one. So he was like one of the biggest. I feel like he was a big winner this season.
And Cooper Kupp, it was exactly who I was going to nominate to.
So I can't let him go for that cheap. I'll take Cooper Kupp for $2. And to me, that doesn't hurt my value on him.
Yeah, and you still have, you and Offensloof have the most money. Your max bid's 23, his is 24, so you can really dictate. I mean, everybody else is 12, 1, 2, 5, 2, 3, 7, 8, 1, 3. So really, if you just bid a guy to $5, you're probably pricing most people out at this point.
And there's still a lot of players out there that are actually worth something.
Yep, I completely agree. And so did you just nominate? No, you're nominating. You just nominated. So now so you nominated Ramondre Stevenson. Again, not a bad price. I mean, Toko only has one running back, so he might be willing to spend up. His max bid 7, so we'll see what he wants to do. So this is where I'm looking at my nominating strategy. Go, man, my roster's full. My max bid's 3. I need a bid, so I'm looking at who doesn't have what. So I'm gonna nominate a tight end in Evan Ingram. Right, and hope, because there's 4 teams that don't have a tight end, hoping that some people brings their max bid down to, $1, $2, so that I can basically outbid them if I need to. I got to get these people, you and Lofus, who have, $23, $24, kind of spend up on them.
Right.
And so, but Ingram went to 3, so Steb had, now has a max bid of 10, so. You got Isaiah Likely out there. So I think that's where it becomes this combination strategy of how do you get guys to spend, right? Because I could bid a guy I want for $1, but he's probably not going to go for $1, right? It's probably going to be, $2, $3. It's like, do I want to spend $3 on a guy? Let me see if I can get some other people down where their max bid's $1. Because once everyone's at max bids for $1, whoever you nominate, you get, right? That's just how it goes.
Yeah. So it's still your fun at that point. You're like, all right, I'm done. And then that's when everyone starts leaving the draft because
then it's just a snake.
Who to get.
Yeah, then it's a snake draft at that point. So I could nominate a guy for $2. Like if I really want someone, I could have nominated someone for $2. I'd rather just wait and see what happens.
Matthew Stafford's on the board.
Yeah, and Tubbs 27, who's on auto pick, only has one quarterback, so I'm surprised his auto draft's not bidding on him. But again, if I'm
his next bid is $1.
$1, yeah, he can't. He's basically done. He spent all of his money on, Bijan and Barkley and Hampton. So, but again, so Stafford went to Steb, who has Cam Ward, Tua, and now Stafford. So back to his 2 young guys with some question marks for cheap price. Stafford went for $5, not a bad thing. But again, he was at a max bid of 10. Now his max bid of 6. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yep.
Charbonnet just went for $3. I think that's a fine price. Debo's an interesting one. I like Debo. He's one of the few guys that I'm willing to spend up on. I should have just bid 3. I just clicked 2 and someone bid 3, so now I can't make an offer on him. So I can't make a bid on Debo.
Yeah, listen to Loftus. Got you on that one.
Yep, he sure did.
Najee Harris was an interesting one now because we saw Marion Hampton go so early at 30. Does Najee still have that value where he can actually?
Yeah, I don't know because they're basically the same player. That's what's weird. They're basically the same guy. Like they're almost same height and width and length and weight. It's just like
one's got less mileage on them.
Yeah, so they only signed him for 1 year. So is it one of those things where they signed him and then they didn't think they'd get Hampton and he just happened to be there, so they drafted him? Who knows?
Yeah, it's a huge question mark there just by looking at it because it's like I was excited when they signed Najee Harris, and then when they drafted Hampton, I was even more excited for Hampton than I was Harris. All right, I don't want any Harris. I want all the Hampton I can get now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want guys that have potential to lose their job. So I don't want Russell Wilson. I don't want Najee Harris. I don't want someone that could potentially lose their job. I want someone who's going to take the job. So I want the Hampton, even though he might be a slower start, long term, season long. I think he'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
J.K. Dobbins just goes for $1. They put a rare restricted free agent tender on J.K. Dobbins. So they have like first right of refusal on him. So he's
Yeah, I think
currently
it's
not
second
signed.
round.
Yeah. An unrestricted free agent tender. Calvin Ridley goes for $2. So again, if you're believing in Cam Ward, do you want Calvin Ridley? I mean, you took him for $2. That's not a bad value.
Yeah, I figured worst case scenario, I can throw him away. He's already
Yeah.
out there, 31 years old now. So even though it doesn't seem like he's that old, but yeah, he came in the league pretty old. So getting him at that price, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll bet $1 more and bring him up to 2.
Yeah, and here's the thing: like now we've got Bashaw Tootin going for $5 seems absolutely insane to me. When Najee Harris just went for $3, people, is he going to take over? Is this just rookie bias? I don't know what this is.
It's rookie hype, man. That's why I like doing stuff like this. Just see people's how excited they get over a certain player.
So you are still, max spend a 19 along with Ofen Sofa max spend a 19. You've got $27 left, so you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, you're up to max of 3. But looking at like as we look at this draft, who do you think has the best team as of right now?
I was looking at that.
It's okay. Let's say it's mine. It's okay. Minus my whole Trevor Etienne. But
so here's where I'll take it out. Right, T-Bub is out because he only has a couple guys. He spent all his money early. Ekins is out because I don't like his quarterbacks. Same thing with Steb. I'm not sold on Cam Ward and Tua as being top end guys. I like Michael Penix, T-Law, and Dak Prescott is good, but James Cook, Bryce Hall. I'm looking at teams. So team 6 is Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown, Antonio Brown. So he's got that stack. DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin. Isaiah likely might bring him down. Then he's got Lamar Jackson, Jackson Dart, and Dave Montgomery. That might be like the best. It's a glass cannon for sure. Like it definitely has. I was really mad I didn't get Aaron Jones for $3. Thanks for taking him for $5.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I think you have a good team. It depends on what you feel about Kyler. I'm down on Kyler. I'll say this, like on pay-per-view, just gave me teams. I think I would pick probably the Z Fighter. So Jaden Daniels, Chuba Hubbard, Judkins, Puka, Garrett Wilson, Jordan Addison, Greg Jennings, Joe Burrow, Shedeur Sanders. He's got to fill it out a little more. But when you give me the values that they spent on them, I think you did really well for value what you got.
Yeah, it's very good value. It just sucks because you get the value, but the depth at the end of it there isn't any.
Yeah, but you've got, your bench is. You look at your bench. You got Mike Evans. Well, Mike Evans on your bench. Tony Pollard. I'm going to put Swift in your starting lineup. So you have Mike Evans, Tony Pollard, Cortland Sutton, Cooper Kupp, Ramondre Stevenson, Calvin Ridley, Aaron Jones, Geno Smith. That's a starting team for some guys. That might be better than. Not the wide receivers, but that's probably a better time than Eakins' team half the way. It's just.
Yeah.
You have a bench that in most leagues are weekly starters for most teams. So there's a lot of people who would love to have Sutton and Mike Evans and Cooper Kupp in their starting lineup right now. You've got guys that are going Neighbors, Lad McConkey, Brandon Ayuk who might not play. You got guys who are going Hunter, McMillan, Xavier Worthy. Like that's a boom bust team. You've got guys out there with just Brian Thomas, no receivers. You've got guys out there with Zay Flowers, Jameson Williams, Devontae Adams. They would love to have a Mike Evans or Cooper Kupp on that team and move Jameson Williams down to their flex. I think that's where you've got some great value there. I think the two of us did the best. There's some teams out there that are good. They're just a little top heavy for me. Again, I am much more of a balanced, let me get the depth, let me pick up some guys cheap, type drafter and team builder. Obviously, I overspent on Trey McBride in hindsight. And a little bit on Jack Beck in hindsight. So if I had a little more money and I could, max bid of 5, I would have gotten Aaron Jones for 5. I would have, filled out my bench a little more, but there's still some guys. Again, I also think that I'm good at finding the late round guys. So I'm okay picking up guys for $1 and I think I'll be fine.
That's how I feel too. Like my whole plan in this whole draft was to go balanced. And usually like I never go balanced, but this time I went heavy balance where I was like, I'm going to let the draft come to me and let me pick who I think is going to be the best one to grab right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. She.
And so, right, like what I'm doing now is I'm going through and just putting guys in my queues that I want to, theoretically nominate for $1 and hopefully get for $1. And I'm looking at running backs, and there's, a lot of handcuffs. There's the Tank Bigsby's, the Blank Forums. I'm going to nominate Tank Bigsby for $3, which is my max spend. See if I can get him for $3. I probably could have got him for $1. I just didn't want to do the 1, and then someone bids 2, and I got to bid 3, or someone bids 3 and I can't get him. I'll take him for $3. I'll take him for $3. Like I would have loved to got him for $1, but I'll take it that way. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just filling my queue with these guys, and I'm like, I'm okay taking for $1. Who are the guys I'm okay with for $1? And it's like, okay, I'll take these guys. Like, it's
and
all.
I still got players out there who are values. I can still grab them. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's still there. That guy's still there. He could be something. So it's a point now where we're in the draft where I have the second most money, and everyone else is down to like $1 or $2.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I should have been more on other players when I had the opportunity to. I could have done better at. Well, I already wasted $5, but I could have done better at other running backs. But I do like the depth of running back I have. I like the depth of wide receiver I was able to get. Yeah. I have enough depth between all my players where I'm comfortable with plugging and playing anyone, any week, at any position.
Yep, and now we're just seeing guys. We saw Marvin Mims go for $1, Jonathan Brooks for $1, Jaden Blue for the rookie from the Texans go for $2. Coker just went for $1. Right, everybody's just because that's everybody's max spend except for you, and Eakins has $2.
Yeah,
one of their guys got a max spend of $4. So you guys are just going, hey, I'm out. So right, and this is where I think people are going to start, picking up these guys that they can just kind of stash for $1 and right, you're looking at wait and see. You're looking at wide receivers, running backs who are kind of there. Maybe you can get someone a depth piece, and we'll see. There's always going to be those players that just kind of come out of nowhere. Is there a Bucky Irving in this draft? Probably not in this class. In this class of young guy, but there might be someone who goes out there and is just available. And
oh yeah,
Kirk Cousins just went for $1. I mean, I don't know if you're hoping he signs with Pittsburgh. I don't know, but we'll see.
Well, that's we'll gotta wrap it up here, bud. All right, down to like last $2. Yeah, like you said, Dallas Goedert's up there right now. That's what you were getting ready to say before I interrupted you.
Yeah, and I had Dallas Goedert queued up. Like if I can get him for $1, I'd take him for $1. Like he's a good tight end who would be my third tight end. I've been okay with that.
Yeah. And now they're like Elijah Roy. So now here's the $2 players. But hey man, I had a great time having you on.
Well, thanks, Trev. This was great. It's great to talk through auction drafts. It's great to kind of get the practice in, especially this time of year, right after the NFL draft. That rookie fever is still high. We saw in this draft guys go, higher than they probably should, especially the rookies, but that's just the way people are going to bid right now.
And you have a lot of work that you've been doing lately. Well, especially over the last couple of months over at Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Is there anything new you're working on right now?
No, that's where everything else. I'm exclusively working there, fantasy. So you can find it at fantasysportsadvice.com. All my articles. So I just released. What's today? Wednesday. So Monday or Tuesday I released my NFL draft. Risers and fallers for quarterbacks. Running backs will be out probably tomorrow, I think. And then next week it'll be wide receivers, then tight ends. And then I do a monthly Dynasty deep stash article, and that'll be out probably Friday if I can get it done in time. So just doing stuff over there. That's where you can find all my content. We're trying to build our content out. We got a great team of writers. So a lot of it's just me cranking out stuff. But we got some teams that are working on some bigger articles. That's place find me. And then if you're ever in a mood, most Tuesday nights, I don't do it every Tuesday, but Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. I do my podcast, Bridge the Gap, which is no longer football. It's just we talk a topic. So I have someone coming on in a week or so to talk like coaching and mentoring. I've had people on to talk about counseling. We've had people on to talk about music. So I'm just trying to get people to come on and talk about a different topic, something they're excited about, something they're, quote unquote, an expert on or just know a lot about. So kind of having a fun, just kind of talk about a conversation. We talk one topic and we just kind of talk it all through. So that's Tuesdays at 10 usually. I've got someone coming on who wrote a book. So I'm just going to have them come on and talk about that process and what it was like to write a book and self-publish a book. So maybe it's something you're curious or just want to learn a little bit more. That's kind of the podcast. So not every week, but most weeks it's Tuesday at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Eastern, Bridge the Gap Pod.
Bridge the Gap Pod. All right, man. I'll definitely check it out here.
Yeah.
But that'll do it for this week on Absolute Auction Podcast. wrapping up the draft. We'll have a post on here for you guys, but we'll talk to you guys next time.